And um, uh, thank you for the generous introduction. Um, for those people who know me, and there might be some participants who on this session who know that since this topic, it's very easy to say that I'm very passionate about this topic, but it's also very difficult to plan for a session because there's so many things linked to this one thing that I have the tendency to stray from the topic a lot. So if I usually tell my friends who are online, I don't know if anyone is, but if I do stray, please stop me. I'm going to try and make sure that I give you as much information as I can in this short amount of time. So we're here to discuss health from the Islamic perspective. And I usually like to start with the Dua Hujjat because when I was studying, our teacher used to do that, saying that he is the sahib of this science. He's the one who knows the science best, and we should always start with his name. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So, how important is our health in our journey towards our Creator? The first time that it really hit me was when I was told by one of my friends on Laylatul Qadr to make sure that I recite Dua Afia before the end of the night. And when I read the meaning, the dua number 23 of Sayfa Sajadiya, this is one, when she told me it is highly recommended by ulama to recite this dua on Laylatul Qadr. The dua, if you read the meaning in that, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam is asking Allah for health in deen and dunya and akhirah, and he's asking for health in body, mind, and soul, so that he's able to fulfill his obligations and serve him better, serve Allah better. So obviously, if this is something that is highly recommended to ask for on the night when we are trying to make the most of that night so that our taqdeer is written, properly, then this is obviously health is an important aspect in Islam. Why Islamic medicine and lifestyle? I will come to that a little later. But let's just talk about the purpose of this session. We're trying to bring awareness towards the fact that when Allah sent guides to us, He sent them not just for refining our soul, but also to refine the container of the soul. The soul, when we talk about our purpose of life, we say that our purpose of life is to worship Allah. And that's a common thing that comes up is مَا خَلَقْتَ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, to get to know Him. And we also know that when Allah created the human being, He created everything else before He created the human being. And even the heavens were created before He created us. But when He created man, the human being, that's when He praised Himself, saying that He's the Ahsanul Khaliqeen, meaning that He's the best of creation because He has created the best of creators because He has created the best of creation. And we learn that is because in us He has placed this potential to reach beyond the angels, reach closest to Him. And though we know that this potential is talking about our soul because this body is temporary, we should understand that the only way to strengthen our soul at the moment is to be able to carry it in a healthy body, in a healthy container. Now, our purpose in life is to worship, and worship and encompasses a lot of meanings. Like we could be working and we're worshiping Allah. We could be studying and we're worshiping Allah. We could be eating and we're worshiping Allah. We know that everything can change. The form of everything that we do, every action that we do will change based on our intention. And intentions are very, very powerful. Okay. So now, having understood that, our current, then this is something that, this is the reason why I like to do these sessions. Our aim currently is, we are the active muntadhirin of our Imam. We're the hope of that Imam. Okay, now let's go back. We are active muntadhirin. We are not waiting for him. He's waiting for us. We need to do something to be able to pave his way. We're saying ajal liwaliyik al-faraj, meaning ajal, that hasten his reappearance before his appointed time of reappearance. We're asking Allah, send him before his appointed time of reappearance, because we need him. But we need to pave the way for him to come. And that paving the way requires a lot of work, not just the prayers and the du'as and everything. It is to strengthen our soul completely. And the only way to strengthen our soul is through our bodies. And inshallah, in a bit, I will also give you a hadith that states that. When Imam Rida was asked, please, my apologies, I never usually go with the slides. I always go all over. So bear with me. Imam Rida was asked once, if health is so important in Islam, then how come the Quran doesn't talk about it? And Imam Rida replied by reciting this ayah of the Quran, which says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wa kulu washrabu wa la tusrifu. Eat and drink, but do not waste. And we know what this waste means, right? At the time of the Prophet, there was a specialist in medicine. I wouldn't want to call him a doctor, because there's a difference between a doctor and a tabib. Tabib is that specialist in medicine of those times, and they exist even now. Tabibs look at your holistic health, and they try to go back to the cause and remove the cause of the disease so that you can live a healthy life. Doctors don't necessarily do that. I respect doctors, even I visit doctors, so I'm not against that profession. I'm just trying to say that doctors try to cure the symptoms, okay? The closest that a current medical professional is to a tabib is a functional medicine doctor. So that field does exist. It has started recently, but it does exist, where the functional medicine doctor actually tries to look at the cause and tries to eliminate. Okay, so there was a tabib in Medina once. He became a Muslim and he decided that he wants to offer his services to the people of Medina, and he came to stay there. But he was there for quite a long time and nobody came to visit him. So he went to the Prophet and he says, people don't trust me, that's why they don't come to me. So the Prophet said, no, nobody's been sick, so nobody will be able to visit you. And why are they not sick? Because they follow this ayah of the Quran. They only eat when they are hungry, and they stop eating when they are not yet full. We listen to this ayah all the time, okay? But we listen to this from our soul's perspective, that it will affect the soul. Yes, it will affect the soul, but it will also affect our body, okay? Now let's go back to health in Islam. When I used to read all this ahadith as a child, I used to see that the Ahlul Bayt have talked about a lot of stuff, right? They've talked about bathroom etiquettes, eating etiquettes. They've talked about how to cut our nails. They've talked about how to have beautiful handwriting. They actually spend time. Can you imagine? They actually spend time to teach us how to make our handwriting beautiful and how to write, because it matters. It matters to our body. It matters to our soul. They have said so many things. None of them are covered in madrasa or in majalis, our two main sources of Islamic education. Okay, but when it comes to food, the one thing that is always covered is the halal and the haram of it. Okay, and we know that that is fiqh related, and we have to be extremely careful of it. However, the Quran says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَكُلُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا. And Imam Rida describes the tayyiba in a certain way. Okay, he says, first of all, halal Okay, the means to get it and the food itself has to be halal. It also doesn't have to be najis, right? But tayyib, it is supposed to be good food. He says this in Risalatul Dhahabiyah. Your food has to be tayyib, meaning it has to have 4 characteristics. It has to be good for you, for your body, for your temperament. It has to be good for your stomach. It has to agree with your digestive system. It has to be something that gives you energy, and it has to be something that you enjoy eating. So food is supposed to give us energy, but we're supposed to enjoy eating. We don't need to go on diets just to lose weight and not enjoy eating anymore. Okay, there is a lot out there that the imams have suggested for us which will help us lose weight and help us gain a healthy body, and we will actually enjoy eating those foods. Something very simple, inshallah, will come to it. Islam always has given importance when it comes to food. We all know that the imams used to go out feeding the poor. We have so much emphasis on feeding people. We're khojas. We're known to invite people to eat at home. If we hear people are going for Hajj or going for Ziyarat, we want to feed them, right? If we have majlis, we want to have niyaz because there's a reason for it. We know that the food that we eat, it helps us build our flesh. And with that, we then get energy to worship. So whoever has fed us is getting the thawab for all the worshiping that we do for that energy, with that energy that we have gotten from that food. So it's really important. Hence, if something is so important, why would there be nothing about diet and nutrition in Islam? It does not make sense. There is, we just need to look for it. Inshallah, today I will give you some gems from this Risalatul Wahabiyah, which I've been talking about so much over the past 2-3 weeks. Um, you know, and even before when I did my Afia sessions, I was referring to it a lot because that is one of those. Just there's so many ahadith from the Prophet, from the first Imam, from the fifth and sixth Imams, but nothing so conclusive has been left behind for us as this document, which still baffles people right now. The modern medical scientists are still studying it and are unable to understand it. Okay, now to be able to make our case even stronger, to be able to understand the importance of health, I like to bring in this point. All that we know about our religion, all that we know about Islam and what we're here to do, the biggest source of it is Karbala. The biggest source is the Majalis of Imam Hussein. We cannot be more grateful than for this blessing. We, we owe it to him for our lives, right? So if that is where we get our lessons from, have you ever pondered? We recite the Masayib of all these companions of Imam Hussein. Okay, there was no miracle happening. Imam Hussein refused for the jinns to help, for the angels to help. Everybody used their own strength to go do what they did. Okay, all of them were not masoom. They were people like us, and their ages were high, like 86, 95. Yet they went to fight and they fought, right? We hear in Masaib, we should ponder over these things. We hear in Masaib that none of them was able to be conquered by the enemy on a one-to-one battle, right? Everybody had to be gathered to be killed. Where did they get that strength from? And they were all fuqaha. They were all qari or hafiz of the Quran. So they were all holistically well, right? Holistically strong. Okay. So the imams spent so much time in educating us, and we are supposed to be those people that all the imams have actually sent salams to, the people of the time of the last imam, because they will be the people who will believe in the unseen completely, because even their imam will not be visible for them. It will not be amongst them. So we have a huge responsibility. So we need to understand, what are we doing to pave the way for the imam? Our main aim is to strengthen our soul, right? But when the imam will come, we have to serve him. So we have to have this strength. We have to have that holistic strength. Okay, so now I'm going to turn. That was the aim of putting all that out there for all of us, was just to emphasize on the importance of health in Islam and in our lives right now, as the people who are the active muntadirin of our Imam, right? Now, we'll go to Risalatul Dhahabiyah because I didn't want to say all the other stuff just like that. I wanted to give all the credit to Imam Rida because he has said all this stuff beautifully. And there is, after you read this, you might find no other source better for your health than this. Risalatul Dhahabiyah, the background is, as we know, Mamun was the ruler of that time, and he was an intellectual. His palace was kind of like a theater for debates and seminars to take place, and where they used to take place. And there was once a seminar regarding health, where scholars of highest level, there were about 5 of them, 4 or 5 of them, they came from, all around the region, and they were talking about how marvelous the human body is and how wise the creator is, because he has designed it in a beautiful way. They were discussing what corrupts this beautiful creation and what makes it right when it is corrupted. So basically, they were discussing medicine so that when people fall sick, how do you treat them? And during the entire discussion, the Imam was quiet. So at the end, Mamun asked him, why is he quiet? And Imam goes on to explain that I have knowledge that I have personally tested and experienced. And I have learned this from my father and my forefathers. And I know that it is something that nobody can afford to be ignorant of. Imam could easily say, I have knowledge from Allah, because we know that their knowledge comes from the Prophet, whose knowledge comes from Allah. But he was talking to people who were not believers. So he explained that he actually has experience in it. And it is something that nobody can afford to be ignorant of. And then he told him that I will actually compile it and I will send it to you in writing. So he did that. And when it reached Mamun, he showed it to the specialists, the tabibs of that time, and everybody was fascinated by the document because it was so comprehensive. And he ordered it to be copied and given to all his family members, to his soldiers, to his guards, and he ordered the document to be copied in gold. He told the Imam that this document has found a place in my heart. It is a treasure for me. So I have ordered it to be written in gold. And he's the one who gave it the name Risalatul Dhahabiyah fi Tib, the golden medical dissertation. It wasn't given, the name wasn't given by any believing follower of the Imam. It was given by somebody who was against it. I want to talk about the contents in a very short, as a very short summary. When Imam starts the dissertation, he starts with saying, know that Allah does not immerse any of his mu'min servants in a bala, except that he has placed for him a medicine that will cure it. Which means that medicine was created before the disease. Not all diseases that we get are a test from Allah. Some of them are a result of cause and effect, so we cause them. But there are some diseases that Allah had placed for us, and whatever Allah places in this world for us as a trial is actually a blessing. There are actually, it's interesting to mention, and I've mentioned this in my previous sessions, that there are 4 diseases that the Prophet used to say that if you get these, then you should feel blessed. Don't be scared, because these are blessings from Allah. And I'm only going to mention 2 of them because they're relevant to our current time. One of them is coughing, which is a crime these days. Coughing protects you from stroke and possible paralysis. Okay, this is what the Prophet says. Flu was a really big blessing of Allah for us. I don't know if you remember, in olden days, people would get flu twice a year, which was a norm. Okay, you would get it either in spring or you would get it in autumn. And the purpose of flu was to, um, it was like a vaccine. So it would, first of all, it would cleanse you. It would remove all the toxins from your body. That's why Imam Rida would say, and I've heard my grandparents also say that when you have flu, and they would say that Imam Rida said, just leave it for 3 days. Okay. When you have flu, just let it be for 3 days. Don't take any medication for 3 days. Let all the kachra come out. You will have a lot of it coming out from your head. Our head, the temperament of our head is cold and humid. Sometimes, because of our behavior and the food that we eat, the humidity increases in our head. It has to come out, because if it stays there, then we're going to have problems with our memory as we grow. So that releases all the toxins from the body. When we feel that fever and this feeling of tiredness and body ache, that is because the toxins have been released into our system and they need to be excreted. So detox. So they used to say that let it be for 3 days and then treat it with herbal medicines. We have we have been using over-the-counter medication, flu shots, all these things, and now we have completely eradicated flu. There's no flu. There was no flu last year, right? It was just COVID, right? So unfortunately, now we have COVID. We don't have flu. What have we done with Allah's blessing? Okay, the reason why Allah sent that as a blessing was it would happen in summer and autumn. The Imam, the Prophet explains that it protects us from two types of diseases. One is the very dangerous diseases that can get you in the summer and winter if your immune system is not strong enough. So this flu uh, would actually trigger the immune system, right? And then the immune system would let out antibodies and and it would be strengthened, ready to face the summer or the winter. Second, if you are a carrier of a recessive gene of anything that's hereditary, okay, if your immune system goes beyond a certain level, then you will catch that disease. uh, the Prophet used to say this flu is there to protect you from those diseases which are hereditary. So these were tests from Allah, and we've kind of like eradicated it. Inshallah, we'll have it back in some form, not COVID, hopefully. And then the other diseases that we get, the Imam says that we tend to cause it for ourselves. Sometimes we don't follow the right guidelines of eating and drinking, and our immune system just goes low. Sometimes we eat food out of the season, and our immune system goes low. So a lot of times they're cause and effect. We do have one relationship, one form of connection between health and Allah, and that is when we get sick, then we do dua, right? We do amma yujibul for people, and if we are told that unfortunately this is God forbid, a terminal disease, then we start praying, Allah, you are the only one who can help remove this disease. But no, there has to be a stronger connection. And there is a stronger connection. So let's use that connection. Let's use the guidelines to understand what is better for our health. This is how the Imam starts it. And then he says, for every group of diseases, there's a group of medicines and a tadbir and a prescription of treatment. So tadbir, I left that word there because there is no proper translation. Tadbir means the changes in your diet and your lifestyle. Avicenna, everybody must have heard Avicenna, right? He has this huge book about medicine. And he says that if a doctor does not start curing a patient by changing his diet, then this doctor has decided to kill the patient. So the first, because we know that the medicine is already created, the first point of removing of the disease is by changing the diet. Then the Imam goes on to explain the anatomy of the human body and how everything is connected and how the food affects all these organs. And an interesting thing to know, our sadness and happiness also depends on certain organs in our body and the foods that affect those organs and how it shows in our faces. The Imam says the body is like a fertile land, so water it the right way. We have a tester for how much water we require. Everybody doesn't require this. According to the Imam, everybody doesn't require the same amount of water. So yes, stay hydrated, especially in the summer. But your hydration comes from a lot of other things. It comes from fruits, it comes from food that you eat. It doesn't necessarily always come from water. And when we do drink a lot of water, then please put lemon in it. If you have a habit of drinking more than 3-4 glasses a day, then please put lemon in it. Sometimes you feel extremely thirsty. That's because your liver is heated up. Please put some lemon in it. This is something I see everybody doing so much because it's really out there. Stay hydrated. Drink, 1.5 to 2 liters a day. Not for everybody. You should also understand that our body stores fat with the help of water. When you start working out, that first month that you lose, it's all the water content that you're losing. That's why all the that you lose the inches. So be careful with the amount of water that you drink. And then he goes on, and this is the most important, and I think I would like to probably um go end here. I'll just say a few more things about the rest of the content. But the Imam says that the food you have should have 4 characteristics. It should suit your body. And then he insists that know your temperament and then plan your diet. Every single person, every single one of us has our own temperament that we're born with. And I'm going to, let me just tell you the temperament since we're here. The sixth Imam explains, and this was when he was talking to also a Hakim of that time, a Tabib, that we have a wise creator who has created everything in nature with 4 humors: cold, warm, wet, and dry. And everything is a combination of 2 of them. So it could be warm and wet, warm and dry, cold and wet, cold and dry. Now, these are the basic terminologies of Islamic medicine and the basic terminologies of Islamic nutrition, because the Imam explains in the entire Risale al-Dhahabiyya how to plan your diet, and he bases on these 4: cold and wet, cold and dry, warm and wet, warm and dry. Okay. So he says, first find out what your temperament is, then plan your diet. Second, make sure that it goes well with your stomach. So sometimes it might be good for your temperament, it might not be going well for your stomach. It might be causing you constipation. You should know what it makes your digestive system work. Okay, constipation is the cause of most of the diseases that we have. The modern medicine says if you go to the bathroom once in 2 days, it's okay. But in Islamic medicine, you need to, and the hadith of Imam Ali, you need to go to the bathroom for after every meal. You should be able. So if you have 3 meals, you need to go three times. So it's very difficult to get to that point right away because it's not a norm anymore. But um, that's what not being constipated means. It should give you energy, which I already mentioned, and it should be something you enjoy. Okay. Now, Allah, in His wisdom, with His wisdom and the way He has created us, and Imam explains very beautifully in Risale al-Dhahabiyya. He says that we all live in different places, and with His wisdom, in His wisdom, Allah has made sure that different things grow in different seasons in different regions. So if we have summer and UK has summer, we might not get the same food and fruits, and we might not necessarily get the same fruits as you get in UK. We hardly get any fruit, so we usually get from the region around us. It would be nice to compare UK to East Africa, okay? Because Tanzania, I think it's one of the closest ones to organic food at the moment. At least you still get seasonal fruits over there. But what you get in summer in Tanzania might not be the same as what you get in summer in the UK. Okay? What you get in the summer, you won't get the same in the winter. What you get in those nuts and seeds, okay, which are all very warm. Have you ever noticed that in East Africa, you don't get walnuts? They don't grow, at least not in Tanzania. That is because they don't need it. It's not good for their temperament. but you'll get it in UK, I think. Yeah, you'll get it in the West. In all the cold parts of the world, you'll get walnuts. Very essential for your kidneys. But you can't have it alone. You have to have it with cheese. So Allah in His wisdom has decided what grows where. Second, Imam Rida has said that when you travel, okay, the first thing, if you do this, the first thing when you reach your destination, which is to eat the onion of that place, which has grown in that place, then you will not be troubled by the diseases that might come in the change of environment and climate that you face when you go in your destination. Why? Because first of all, onion is very good for your immune system. The why of that soil, because when you live in a certain place, the soil of that place has all the nutrients that you need to be able to combat all the climatic conditions that you face in that region. So the point is just to make you understand that we right now get everything throughout the year. One of the biggest problems that we have right now is that we get everything throughout the year. Even when I do health coaching sessions with people and I ask them, okay, so what is in season right now? And a lot of people don't know. I don't know if the kids right now in school even know, because when we used to be kids, we would be taught, right? In summer, you get these foods, and in winter, you get these. But right now, I don't think we know that this is a fruit for the winter or this is a fruit for the summer. We eat watermelon throughout the year, I think. And this is something I mention all the time. I can't get over the fact that watermelons used to be big and round and green when I was a kid, and now they have changed to being oblong and striped. And I don't understand what happened to them. And we have so many fruits that just appeared recently. There's some sort of mutation between fruits, and they're not the original fruits. These were not, our bodies were made to digest what was created by Allah. So we do bring in a lot of problems for ourselves by not adhering to nature. Okay, we're trying to stray from nature. Let's get back to it. The Imam also says that plan your diet taking into consideration your activity levels and eat the amount that is right for you. Reflect on your food. Reflect on what is good for you. When you eat when you're hungry, and get off the table when you still have appetite for it. Then he says that the strength of your soul will follow the temperament of your body, and the strength and soundness of your aql comes from the health of your body. The entire purpose of this session and whatever sessions that I've done is this. The strength of your soul follows the temperament of your body, and the soundness of your aql comes from the health of your body. When we just go, okay, it's very important to look good. It's very important to look good, but it's also very important to feel good. A lot of times we follow a lot of diets that are out there that promise us that we will lose fat quickly. What happens when you do that? It triggers your temperament. It makes you go into an imbalance of your temperament. What happens is when you lose fat really quickly, okay, your kidneys get affected. Kidneys are the source. Imam Rida says kidneys are the source of your happiness. When your kidneys are healthy, you can see from people's faces, they're red and they have this natural blush, natural makeup, right? It shows. Why? Because there are veins that go from the kidney to your face. So when the kidneys are healthy, it shows on your face. The fat that surrounds the kidney is the source of happiness. I'm not saying anything out of my pocket. Yeah, it comes from the words of Imam Rida, and the reason why I'm able to tell you this is because I've learned how it functions, right? How it works. Why? But that fat around your kidney is extremely important. It's called tharb. In Gujarati, we just say charbi, right? Sometimes it's important. These charbis are important in our body. We can't just lose fat just like that. Our brain is fat. There was a research done recently. No, there was a docu-series that was released 5 years ago about brain, how food affects the brain. They did this research over the last 2 decades because one of the doctors, he was faced with Alzheimer's or something, or MS. Something happened, something went wrong, and he was a very healthy eater. He says that diet diet trends change, right? So when you want to lose fat, you're told uh, get rid of carbohydrates or get rid of fats. Both are extremely important because carbohydrate gives that energy, that most efficient energy that the brain uses. So when you stop carbs, can you imagine how much your brain would suffer? Okay. When you stop fats, two things happen. Number one, they're saying two things happen. Number one, your brain starts shrinking because it's not getting enough fat. The brain is made of fat. It's cold and wet. Okay. In Islamic terminology, we call it bulgur. Okay. It's cold and wet. We need to have the right amount of coldness and the right amount of wetness in our brains. If it reduces because of our diets or whatever, then we will have memory issues. If it increases, then we will have memory issues. It has to be maintained at an optimum level. So when we use all these diets we're trying to probably lose belly fat. That's the biggest problem everybody seems to have. But we're hurting our brain in the meantime. And second, we're hurting our kidneys as well. And they're very, very important for our health. When we're not healthy, oh God, tell me, when you have a headache, are you able to even recite Quran properly or pray? No. And headaches happen sometimes just because of something that you've eaten. Okay, think about, okay, the other example I'll give you, how soul is affected. And this is indirectly, soul is affected. For a person whose temperament is warm and dry, these are slim people, they get angry very quickly. They have short tempers. And they're very fast in everything. So they're, in Islamic terminology, we call them safrawi, but you can imagine what kind of people I'm talking about, okay? For these people, summers are very difficult because summer is a dry, warm and dry environment, warm and dry climate. Imagine this person eating uh, spicy food, let's say a really spicy shawarma or something in the middle of the day, okay? Now this person's liver will be very heated up. Do not disturb this person's environment, because now this person will get angry very quickly. Why? Because their liver is heated up. The spice is very bad. It's summer. Everything together, not bad. Teenagers, they are in that age of suffering. Why do we say it's very difficult to deal with them? They're always angry, they're always losing their temper, they always want to conquer the world. There's some very good things about being in that age, and if we don't achieve our potential at that time, it will be very difficult for us to achieve later on. So this age needs to be cared for. Give them the right amount of food. If you give them a lot of spicy food, they will start having pimples, and they will start being very angry, and they will not listen to you. They'll be rebellious. Food affects our soul. That is akhlaq, right? Anger, being rebellious, all this is akhlaq. Food affects our akhlaq. Okay? And the other thing, when we eat a lot of cold foods, when we lose this fat, I forgot to mention that when we lose a lot of fat very quickly, okay, it makes us a very gloomy people. It affects our brain. It is a cause of depression when we eat the wrong type of foods. So be mindful of the diets that you choose to follow, because Allah in his wisdom has kept amazing diet for us. Come on, it's a variety. You don't have to eat the same thing throughout the year. You can choose. So choose the right stuff to have. Stick to the season which you're living in and the food that is grown in your soil. Go as organic as possible. Your health will be good. Um, the Imam does talk about a lot of stuff, other stuff in the Risala, and a lot of it I have mentioned. He explains in the Risala what to eat and drink in each and every month of the year and why. So, to be able to understand why, we need to have just a little bit of background on how Islamic medicine works. He talks about sleep, its etiquette, cleanliness of teeth, brushing, how important it is for the brain, And he talks about the temperament of different age groups and how to moderate it so that you may be able to achieve the best out of it. He talks about hijama, something that there's a lot of skepticism about hijama, but an amazing tool for curing diseases. He gives eating and drinking tips, like foods that cannot be mixed together, like why you can't have fish with dairy, or you can't have eggs with fish, and fish. I think fish and chicken. So this is something that I would like to mention. Fish and chicken are highly advised for good health. These are lean meats, so good health have fish and chicken. Chicken is considered the pig of birds in Islam, in Islamic nutrition, pig of birds. We know that whatever we eat, their characteristics are transferred to us. Chicken are supposed to be cowards and loud and angry creatures. So imagine what is transferred into us. Also, it has a very cold temperament, so it's not good for health. And right now, I know quite a few people who are told by their gynecologists to stop eating chicken because it affects their hormones. But that is one thing. We all listen to gynecologists. Let's try and listen to our imams as well when they tell us avoid chicken. Have turkey instead. Have lamb and not beef. Beef was always a makruh meat to eat. Um, Lamb is something that is mentioned in the Quran with the quality of submissiveness and humility. Highly recommended in Islamic nutrition because it is full of nutrients, not so much, but maybe once a week. Unless you're anemic, you can have 3 times a week just for that once to cure your anemia. It's extremely useful. All medicines were created for us before we were created. The Imam also talks about travel and activity. I've written activity. In my previous slide, it was exercise. Because, yeah, the modern fitness workouts do not go hand in hand with Islamic nutrition and lifestyle. And in fact, I do wish to do one session once just to explain how it doesn't conform to the Islamic nutrition and guidelines, and how these modern workouts can be detrimental to our health. So I think that's the end of what I wanted to say. Yeah, I'll just use 2 more minutes to just give a few tips about what's recommended for July, according to Risalat al-Zahabiyya. July is the peak of summer, the most harmful of all months. The heat intensifies in this month. The Imam advises to eat cold temperament foods. Maybe I will share a brief chart of food temperaments with Musarat, and maybe she can share it with everyone. It's useful. Have light foods, avoid fatty foods, avoid meat, too much of meat. You can have meat once a week, but avoid. Smell cold flowers, the flowers that grow in the summer, smell those. Use those kind of scents which are fresh and refreshing for your head. Avoid the Arabic perfumes, especially musk and amber. These two are actually mentioned in the Risala because these are very warm for your head and they may give you headaches. This is a Safrawi time, so it's a warm and dry time. Avoid tiring yourself too much. So it's okay if you can't do a 1-hour workout every other day. You don't need to. It's summer. Imam says don't tire yourself so much. Rest in the warmest parts of the day. So highly recommended if you want to rest either with that 1 hour before Dhuhr or 2 hours after, but not all 3 hours. When they say rest, like 30 to 45 minutes. Chicory and purslane are mentioned in the Risala. These were vegetables which are known, according to a hadith, to be the favorite of Imam Ali and Lady Fatima Zahra, salamullahi alayha. These are cooling for the body. You can have it throughout the year, but for summer, highly recommended. Cucumber, watermelon, sweet melon, don't mix them, but have them separate, and have salt before and after because it moderates it. In some places, the summer is not as dry as in others. So have salt. It's the best way to moderate, to keep your digestive system warm. It's a hadith of the Prophet that if you have a pinch of salt before and after, then it will protect you from diseases. And enjoy freshwater fish. So this is one of the few times in the year that is highly recommended to have freshwater fish, especially in the beginning of of this month. But whenever you have fish, please have a date or honey after, because fish has some not so good effects on our body. So the imams have always advised, whenever you have fish, have a date after or honey. You can have cool water in the morning. Cool water is room temperature, or the water that you have put in clay pots to cool, but not the refrigerated ones. You have to be very careful about that because it causes fatty liver. One of the best drinks to have to avoid being so thirsty is soaking chia seeds or basil seeds or kashir in water. And when they get puffy, then you put in lemon and water, lemon and honey, sorry, in that water and drink it. It's very refreshing. And especially if you're fasting in the summer, then this is really good. Yogurt, highly recommended to have in the warmest part of the day, not pasteurized though, or the fresh one, the organic one. So if you're cold temperament, Balgamis and Saudawis, they have cold temperament. They're either cold and wet or cold and dry. They can have it in the form of raita because they need to moderate it. Just as it is, might be problematic for their digestive system. So you can add mint, cumin, onions, and all that. The warm temperament people, Damawis and Safaris, they can have yogurt as is, or they can make chash or dugh out of it. So have salt and water. It's very cooling for the body. Summer comes with a lot of constipation, so try to have light and laxative type of foods like olives, plums, figs. These are very good to have so that your digestive system stays well and hydrated. And it's also very good for the skin. So in those parts of the world where there is winter, then it's the opposite. Have warm temperament food. Cut down on fish. You can have fatty foods in winter. You can have meat in winter. It's fine because it's required for the warmth of the body. Lamb, young goat, turkey, these are recommended. Have warm water in the morning and avoid having water at night. So please avoid having water in winter at night. Take warm baths in the morning so it will warm up your body, and avoid sugary foods or fresh milk or dairy products in winter. Try to avoid it, not very good. Stay active. So this is the only time I think this and spring is one of those two times when walking and jogging and being very active is highly recommended. All dried fruits that we have, most of them, those nuts and seeds and all, apricot, figs, dried figs, these are all good for they're good for the winter. They're all warm in nature, so they're good for the winter. And when vegetables start growing, when winter is ending, the vegetables start growing in the beginning of their season. Have those because they come with a lot of immunity for your body. So I think I should end here. I've spoken so much, and so many things just came up, which I felt that I needed to share. I hope it was beneficial. And I'm sorry for going on and on and on. Like I said, I was telling Musarat before that it is something that I have to really keep reins on myself because I can go from one end to the other. And
No, it was really interesting. Thank you so much. Honestly, personally, I've learned a lot, and I'm wishing I could have started writing it down. But Alhamdulillah, we've got the recording, so we can re-listen to it as well. A lot of information out there, and there was just so much that we didn't know. So thank you for creating that awareness. Alhamdulillah, you know what? There's gems out there, and you've shared some important points out there. We have got some questions, if that's okay. Are you all right to cover if I say the questions that are in the chat? Is that okay?
sure.
Excellent. So somebody's asking, where can we get this book, Risalat al-Dhahabiyya? Is it a link or is it a hard copy?
Okay, so I'm still trying to look for a proper translation of Risalat al-Dhahabiyya because it has either been translated just as is, which doesn't make sense to a layman because it's just translated from Arabic to English, or there have been some references, or people have written some remarks, like medical professionals. So I'm still trying. However, there are a couple of sources that I have found which are good, and I will share them with Ms. Harat maybe, and she can pass them on to you.
Yes, that
Uh,
would be great. Yeah,
it's
I
very
think that would be amazing. So it's like if people want to find out what their temperament is and what kind of food should they eat, how do we do that?
You can ask me.
Okay. Is there like a straightforward chart that somebody can work out what kind of temperament they are?
when
Um,
I when I did the Afia sessions last year, I had talked about these, and I still have some very basic. So the best way there, you can find out a person's temperament from their eye, from their pulse, from their behavior and personality. And I had just made a little chart about behavior and personality that can show how a person's what a person's temperament is most likely to be. I can share that with you,
yes,
and
please.
maybe that will be like a basic understanding.
Excellent. And with the temperaments, is it can you get overlap or there's always one fixed temperament or
So you're born with one original one, and then as you grow and you travel, like if based on where you live and what you have faced in your life, your temperament and what you have eaten in life,
okay.
your temperament may change a little bit. So that is an imbalance. So you might have the some other temperament going beyond over and above your original temperament, and that needs to be brought back down to
Oh,
balance.
okay,
When
excellent.
we say we're not well, so we need to moderate that. So
Okay.
yes, you can have an overlap.
So it is like quite intense study as well, isn't it?
Mhm.
So if anybody wants to know, I mean, obviously it's so many different parts of the world. If anybody wants to know what kind of foods they should be eating in certain parts of the country, is that something also in the sources that you've said you've got the books?
So yeah, so this Risalat al has it. It
Mm,
has some indications, especially the what is recommended throughout the season. So every month has some recommendations. But what I normally advise, like the best place to start from is to try and stick to what grows in your region in that season.
okay.
So try and stay as natural as possible because those foods will be good for you.
Okay. It's quite
A lot of
hard, isn't it? When you go in the supermarkets, you just don't know. So we just need to be more aware, isn't it, when we're buying our products and maybe reading the packaging, right?
the Western, the people outside the Muslim world have caught
Mm,
up with that, and then they are doing a lot to bring about awareness to this particular thing that you should eat what grows in their season. That you should eat seasonal fruits
yeah.
and foods which grow around you. So they're doing a lot, and we actually have all this. I don't think it should take too much effort to try and follow that.
Definitely. And I think you creating that awareness is the biggest step. I mean, Alhamdulillah, we've got 80 ladies here. If one of us makes that one tiny step and just, we're all in families, and if we create that awareness, Alhamdulillah, inshallah, it will go a long way. Someone's message about foods that's good for teenagers. I mean, I've got a teenager as well, so that would be really good. What kind of foods would you recommend for teenagers?
For teenagers, if they are the teenagers are suffery age, so they feel that they can literally do anything that they set their minds to. Okay, so there are two types. One will know exactly, they will know exactly what they want to do,
Mm,
and there are those who will think that they can do anything and everything, and they will feel that there's a lot of pressure and they will feel really, really rebellious. These are sufferers. They get angry a lot. So, a sufferer in a sufferer age, try and avoid having a lot of spicy food. uh, Swimming would be very good for them. Keep them busy in activities that do not tire them, but they would love to do. So they're those kind of people who have a lot of energy, and that energy has to go somewhere. So let the energy go in good stuff, and give them things like cucumber to calm themselves down, lemon water, very good to calm their livers down. um, the cold and wet type of food would go really well for them.
okay.
But also, if it is in winter, then it should be moderated again. Um, the most important thing to avoid is spicy food, which
Okay.
is, I think, a very common thing because we have this Indo-Pak type of foods that we
Mm,
eat.
okay.
So
So cutting down on that. I think someone's asked a question if they've got acidity problems, what kind of food should they avoid?
acidity problems can happen. if you eat a lot of oily foods, or you eat a lot of gassy foods, or you eat too fast, and of course spicy food. So have mint tea, very essential for acidity. Mint tea, sometimes you need to just cool yourself down. So if you have something sweet to have, like um, along with mint tea, um, it skips my mind. If you have acidity, avoid chai.
Really? Okay.
Chai is something very despised, and I don't talk much about chai because I'm a chai addict. But chai is something that should be avoided. It's very harmful for
Okay.
health, chai and coffee. But yeah, acidity, mint tea is really good to have for acidity.
All right. Excellent. I think a lot of questions are coming up about
Hello, excuse
migraines.
me. Hello,
Sorry. Yes,
excuse
go
me.
on. Yeah.
Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Sorry to disturb you.
No, no, it's
One of
okay.
my friends, she's very disturbed with her migraine.
I was going to ask that. Yeah, migraines. Common,
Yeah, my
isn't it?
friend. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so.
Migraine, I suffer from migraines a lot. Okay, so
Mm,
migraine can be two types. Either it's the right side or the left side.
mm,
The right side is because of
mm,
heat and
mm-hmm,
the left side is because of a lot of coldness in your head. So
mm,
stress again causes a lot of left-sided headaches.
mm-hmm,
And when you eat certain foods that are cold and dry in nature, like if you eat a lot of beetroots, or you eat a lot of even a lot of yogurt, a lot of milk that we have right now is all synthetic. All these can be a cause of increasing the coldness on your in your head, and that causes left side. So we need to figure out whether it's the right side or the left side. Right side is to do with your liver, left side is to do with your spleen, right side
mm,
is because of the heat, and
mm.
left side is because of the coldness. So when you
Okay.
propose that for migraines, put an ice pack,
Mm,
be mindful that if it is the right side, then you can put an ice pack maybe. On the
mm,
left side, no ice pack.
mm,
So
mm.
rest
Okay.
would be a good thing for them. It's very difficult
Okay.
to migraine, I know. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Thank you very much.
So the immediate cure for a right-sided migraine is having lemon and honey water, whereas
Mm,
the immediate cure, or smelling lemon, or even having cucumbers. But for a left-sided migraine, which is due to cold, then have
mm,
some honey and water, warm water with honey.
mm,
Also, if you comb your hair seven
mm.
times on each side, it can help with migraine.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Um,
Thanks.
let me just see if there's any more questions. Somebody's just asked food for mental health issues and trauma. Obviously, you've mentioned that foods can cause depression. Anything suggestion for that?
Oh, that would require like to actually understand the cause,
Mm,
because trauma is and it is to do with kidneys and spleen, but then we would really need to know what the cause is and what their diet is like and where they live to be able to advise. You can try and get in touch with me, and maybe I can help.
right. Okay, that's fine. I mean, yeah, I can. If you want to share your number in the chat as well, so if anybody wants to ask anything, directly, they can. Somebody's just out of curiosity asking for those two illnesses that you mentioned. You mentioned about flu, and we couldn't end the session without it. I think everyone's a bit curious to find out what those two illnesses were.
Uh, yes, and I don't remember them.
That's fine. Yeah, just share all that information with me, and I'll share it in the ICRA library as well. We've got quite a few questions coming up, but I'm conscious that we've got a few minutes. Okay, that's fine. I know obviously namaz time, Zohor namaz time is soon. Somebody's asking about, let's have a look, heavy head. How do you, sometimes you've not got a migraine, but you just wake up with a heavy head. Any suggestions on that?
Heavy head is due to the excessive humidity in your head. If you notice, if you know that when we have flu, we also we have heavy head the whole time. That happens either if you have a lot of davy at night before you go to sleep, or you've slept between fajr and sunrise, and we can wake up with heavy head. We just need to remove the humidity, excessive humidity from our head. You can put olive oil drops right here. You take your tip of your last finger and then do this wherever your thumb rests. This is the crown of your head. Try and put the oil recommended for this is called the sweet violet oil, which is based in olive oil. But you can also use olive oil. It's warming olive oil. So just put 1 or 2 drops here at night before you go to sleep. It will help with reducing the excess humidity in your head.
Okay, thank you. I think last one before we end, joint pain, anything? I think we all suffer from joint pains. Anything on there?
Joint pain happens for 2 reasons. Either there is excessive dryness in the body. So if you're thin and frail, and that's why you're having joint pains, and you need to put bitter almond oil on your joints every day. Imam Ali says you should massage your joints and you should put oil on your body because it will help your joints become more lubricated. If it is because of excessive humidity, and you would know this if they're swollen, or you're not a slim person, and your activity levels are low, then this is because of excessive humidity. We call it rheumatoid arthritis or
Yeah.
something like that.
Mm.
For this, black seed oil would be good. Black seed oil tends to remove pain quite easily, but we need to be careful not to overuse it, because if they dry up the joints, then again it's a problem.
Okay.
So bitter almond oil for dryness, for if you're slim, and black seed oil if it is due to excessive humidity or if it's swollen or something.
Okay. Any food recommendations for that joint pain? Or is it just mainly massaging, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and foods do affect. Like, the reason why we sometimes get joint pains is because we don't have enough oils in our body, or we have the wrong types of oils.
Yeah.
You know, it would be really helpful to have 1 tablespoon of pure olive oil every morning. It doesn't make you fat. I promise you, it doesn't make you fat. I've seen people having it religiously every day from when they were young, and now they're old and they're still slim. So it really helps with constipation. It helps with joints, lubricating joints. Very good for health. Pure olive oil, 1 tablespoon every morning.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think everyone's asking for next session, so I know that I'm going to pass it on to you because you have got some sessions lined up. If you would like to let everyone know about the sessions as well.
I intend to do a course on the South of Arabia. So it's quite detailed. So I have shortened it down I've divided it into modules. Um, the idea of the course is to be able to understand and apply it in our lives. So not just the translation, not just the medicinal part, but to actually apply it in our lives to be able to, have better health. The modules are paid, but I can share the details with Musarat. Maybe you can
Yeah.
send it out to the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, sure.
Or if anyone is interested, then they can email me. My email addresses, I have shared both the Gmail and the iCloud one. Simple, fatima.merali@gmail.com or me.com.
Excellent. Yeah. Obviously, once you do your poster as well, I can share it in the group as well. And obviously, they can contact you and register with you for the sessions as well. It was really interesting. We've learned a lot. I think that 1 hour has been so beneficial. So thank you so much. Are you going to be sharing the slides as well with me? Yes.
Yes.
So that would be really handy. But everyone's got Sister Fatima's number. She's there to help us out. Her main aim, as I said, is to create this awareness that we've got these beautiful gems. Let's make the most of it. Let's do what we can and benefit from them. As she said, it's out there. A lot of other people are benefiting from it. Why not when our imams have taught us so much. So thank you all for joining in. And we'll see you inshallah. I'm conscious about the time. time that it's soon Zohor Namaz time as well. But we will keep in touch with you through the Ikra Library WhatsApp group. Message me if you would like to add to the group. And inshallah, we will share the recording a bit later on as well. So thank you so much, Fatima. You have had some, I mean, you know, it's Sawabi Jariyah. May Allah bless you for all that sharing out there. I know the information's out there, but it's quite hard for, you know, obviously to get that information and put it together for us in this beautiful session. So may Allah bless you, and thank you everyone for joining in. And we do have a session, a yoga session tonight at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow we have a session at 5:30 as well. We will share all that information in our Ikra Library WhatsApp group. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Khuda Hafiz. Khuda Hafiz.